I know I sound like a broken record. It's another Jets loss. And of course, for anyone that's familiar with me knows I'm going to have a certain reaction, but I want to start off with this, and it's about Sam Darnold. And for me, I actually thought yesterday was a good sign. I know a lot of people will look at the 3 interceptions, the 3 turnovers, but to me, it was 21 to 30. He showed that he can make plays. And look, that first drive, after everything he had to deal with this week, coming out going 7 for 7 with a touchdown, that was great. Darnold showing me that he has the talent. But here's the issue. Sam Darnold, you can tell from his personality, he wants to do well. He's the type of kid he wants to go above and beyond to do the right thing. And right now, he realizes this offense is terrible, and the only way they're, forget about scoring, going to move the balls if he makes plays. So to me, interceptions, especially this year, they aren't going to bother me as much because, look, Darnold's trying to make plays. He's trying to make things happen. I get that. He also doesn't have receivers that can win those one-on-one battles. He doesn't have his number one tight end, Chris Herndon, again, out with an injury. And of course, this porous offensive line. So Darnold's going to have to make plays. I mean, look at it yesterday. Le'Veon Bell got 12 touches. 12 touches. Could we get him more involved in the offense? And I understand the mechanics are bad. They have to go back and work on that. But to me, that's more on the coaching staff than Darnold. I mean, are we forgetting that he was out for a month with mono and he came back and played great? I said it last week. In that Patriot game, he is nervous in the pocket because don't forget he's wearing extra padding to protect his spleen, which he's been told by doctors if it ruptures, he's going to die. You don't think he's a little bit more cautious about getting hit? And yesterday, once again, this offensive line allowed multiple sacks. He was constantly under duress. And if you want to say that Sam Darnold's regressed, I can't disagree with you. But that leads me to, once again, Adam Gase. I'm tired of these post-game press conferences of Adam Gase and him basically coming out and saying, well, the guys, they're not getting my message. You know, they're not listening. Well, that's on you as the head coach. They have to listen. For the Jets, they need to move on from Adam Gase at the end of the season at the very least because it's not just bad. This is embarrassing. I mean, you look at Gase in his last 10 games, 1-9. I saw this great stat the other day. He now has more double-digit losses than he does wins as a head coach in the NFL. And what have I been saying the last couple of weeks? I have said the only way he could keep his job, the only way he could be the coach next year is this. Sam Darnold looks good. And I said it after the Dallas game. Darnold looked good in this game. So for Gase, that's a decent sign. But over the last 2 weeks, Darnold has regressed. And he's regressed badly. I mean, we're talking about a kid, if you remember the last 4 games of last year, without a coaching staff that isn't quote-unquote offensive gurus like Adam Gase, Darnold only had 1 interception over the last 4 games he played last year against good defenses. He was protecting the ball last year. And all of a sudden this year he comes back and it's interceptions left and right. I put that more on the coaching staff than Darnold because I look, when this team comes out in the first and second half, they look pretty decent on offense. What's the reason for that? It's because they're on a script. They can script out the first 12 to 15 plays of the half. And the guys do well. But what happens when they get off that script? When they have to make adjustments on the fly, they can't. They couldn't protect Darnold. They didn't put an extra tight end to block. They didn't put a back in. And they have Le'Veon Bell, who's not only one of the best running backs over the last 10 years, but he's also been one of the best receivers in the NFL. Could we get him more involved on screen passes, putting him out as a slot receiver, utilizing him in some capacity? Because 12 touches yesterday, that is not enough. And every week, I get that the Jets are not a talented team. I can understand that, and I think fans can understand that. But this is what fans don't understand. How is this team not prepared? every week they do not look like they're prepared. They are overwhelmed. They look like they don't have a clue what they're doing out there or how to make an adjustment. And you saw it in the Jacksonville game. One of the big things I always notice in the NFL is, especially when you're playing the betting lines, always bet on teams or the line for teams that get absolutely embarrassed on a primetime game. Because guess what? They come out fired up the next week. And I was thinking to this in the Jacksonville game. I'm like, this could be the turning point of the season. Because Gase can sell to this team if they come out, play a great game against Jacksonville, they win a game against Jacksonville, then they beat Miami. All of a sudden, they're 3-5 with a favorable schedule. And the whole outlook of this entire season has changed in 2 games. But instead of coming out and trying to show the world, hey, we're better than that team that got absolutely embarrassed on Monday night, they came out flat. If you can't get your team up for a game after being embarrassed like that, what are you doing as a head coach? And it is funny because Miami's up next, and they've already traded Kenyon Drake. Now they've traded their left tackle, their number 1 receiver, their number 1 corner, their number 1 running back. If the Jets somehow lose to Miami, who, may I remind you, is purposely tanking this season and basically saying, you know what, this is a rebuilding project. We're getting a bunch of new young faces in here. We're completely gutting and rebuilding everything. If they lose to Miami, who I will give them credit despite being a winless team, I can say they play hard every week. And they at least show up every week. If they lose to the Dolphins, the Johnson family should be standing in that tunnel after that game with a pink slip in hand for Adam Gase. Because if he can't beat his former team with guys that he knows well, with a roster that has been depleted, if he can't win that game, he doesn't deserve to be the head coach of the New York Jets. And this isn't like me. For people that know me, my opinion of head coaches is they should get more opportunity. I always lean on the side that a head coach should be given more of an opportunity. I think coaches are fired too quickly. But for Adam Gase, he isn't a first-time head coach. He's been a head coach. And for people that wanted to kill Todd Bowles, and I was a guy that I didn't mind Todd Bowles, because I would say this about Bowles. This team, even though they were bad, they weren't embarrassingly bad. This season has gone as bad as it could have possibly gone, and I'm done with the excuses for Adam Gase. I keep hearing it. Well, he doesn't have the players. He didn't have Sam Darnold for 3 weeks. Well, he's had him for 3 weeks now, and he's regressed. They are dead last or second to last in pretty much every offensive category in the NFL. They have been an absolute disaster, and that's with Le'Veon Bell. That's with Robbie Anderson. That's with Sam Darnold. I mean, come on. This team has been an embarrassment. And you can tell the guys in this locker room, Le'Veon Bell, Jamal Adams, these are 2 guys who are high-quality guys who are dedicated to winning, and they have been good leaders in this locker room. And you could tell after that game they were disgusted. They were absolutely disgusted. And to me, firing Adam Gase if they lose to Miami, look, you're not just sending a message to the fan base. You're sending a message to that locker room. And the message will be this: look, we made a mistake, but we're also not going to put up with this nonsense. If you are not bought in or you're not helping us move forward, we're going to get rid of you. You have to send a message, because the longer you allow this to continue to happen, the worse it's going to get. I mean, because this season is effectively over. It was pretty much over after the Patriot game, but you could at least have made the case, well, if they win against Jacksonville and Miami, they're 3-5. You know, they're probably not going to make the playoffs, but hey, they can maybe make it interesting in the second half. Well, that's over. And I have a great question for everyone. If you can think of a reason why they should keep Adam Gase next year, please comment. I would love to hear it, because I cannot think of a good reason. Because the biggest reason I said for this hire when it was made at the time was the reason they made this hire was for one specific reason. It was to help with Sam Darnold develop into a franchise quarterback. And he has gone backwards. He's gone backward with a supposed offensive coach. mean, he improved more with Todd Bowles, who's a defensive coach last year. I mean, come on. And if they do fire Gase midseason, I think they lose the Dolphins because that would just be a flat-out embarrassment. Go back to Matt Rule. Go back to some of these candidates and say, look, we messed up. I mean, there are some good coaching candidates available. And we're seeing guys from college, because of the college concepts in the pro, they're working. Cliff Kingsbury, who was not a guy I was high on, he's working in Arizona because he's helped Kyler Murray develop. It doesn't make sense to keep this going because they've already now lost a year of Sam Darnold. They have lost a year on his rookie contract and a year of his development this year. It's a lost season, and it's painful. It's frustrating, but you got to go forward. You got to move forward. You got to have some hope, and you got to develop this quarterback. Because for the people saying, well, Darnold's a bust, they should draft a quarterback this year, I'm giving up on the head coach well before I'm giving up on this quarterback. Because I've seen some really good things. And a lot of the problems with him right now is I don't think he has an offensive coach that's helping him. And he's in a situation where he understands that this offense is woefully bad. And if he doesn't make plays, they're not going to get first downs, let alone score. And if I was a good offensive coach, I'm talking to you, Adam Gase, I would sit down with Sam Darnold and say, look, I'd rather have you throw the ball away, get rid of it, cut down the interceptions. Look, I know we need some big plays, but we can't have negative plays. Just be more conservative with the football. If you don't see something, just get rid of it. Stop trying to make a play, because Gase didn't say that to him after the Monday night game, apparently. He didn't say, hey, you know how you threw all those interceptions against the Patriots? You were trying to make stuff happen. Tone it back a little bit. We'll give you more of a running game with Le'Veon Bell, or we'll give you some more check down options to him or some screens out of the backfield. But, I mean, of course, Adam Gase, the quarterback whisperer, man, I don't know what he is whispering in Sam Darnold's ear, but he is going backwards, and that's alarming. And this season, I could not see it going this bad. With the talent that they had in the preseason, and I get injuries have been a big part of this season, especially on the defensive side. I can get that. But you can't use injuries as an excuse in the NFL. Teams just keep moving forward. And the Jets can't use that as a crutch this year. And they can't use that as an excuse. Well, injuries derailed us. No. Teams are getting by with injuries all over this league. You have to just learn to adapt. If I had to take anything from the loss, that first drive with Darnold, I thought Darnold handled himself after that ghost comment. I think he showed you flashes yesterday of why he can be a good quarterback in this league. But once again, he's being held back because of this coaching staff who's not doing him any favors. And I'll say this again. If Adam Gase cannot get this team prepared against his former team, against a team that has traded away their best players for draft picks, and they did it again this week. They traded their running back. If they lose to Miami, Adam Gase should be fired before he gets to the tunnel, because that will be the exclamation point on what has been an embarrassing 2019 Jets season.